Let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets sent in to us by Samuel Play, who writes, Netflix just said in their earnings call that more than 76 million people checked out The Witcher, making it their best first season in history. What do you think this bodes, what do you think this bodes for both The Witcher and the fantasy genre in general in the streaming wars? Could we see Amazon's Lord of the Rings show rival these numbers? I have spoken. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Samuel. And listen, no doubt, it is an impressive feat. To say that The Witcher is the best first season you've ever had for any original show that you've had on your network, a network that has had shows like Stranger Things, that has had shows like House of Cards, that has had shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and The Defenders and Punisher and whatnot, that has had shows like The Crown. And you're saying that the number one show, the number one first season you've had out of all of them is this little fantasy genre epic with the great Henry Cavill, The Witcher. That's saying something. I mean, that's impressive. There's no doubt about it. That's impressive. But there may be a little asterisk that we need to put beside that. And that comes from this. It comes from the new way that Netflix is counting what a viewer actually means. Now, this comes to us from Variety in relation to this news about The Witcher being the number one first season ever. Variety writes the following. Netflix changed the definition of what constitutes a viewer. Now, according to the company, it's measuring accounts that choose to watch and did watch for at least 2 minutes, long enough to indicate the choice was intentional. However, previously, Netflix reported a viewer figure based on the number of accounts that had viewed a TV episode for at least 70% of completion. 70% of completion. So before an hour-long programming on Netflix, they only counted it as a view if somebody got, 45, 50 minutes into it. If they got 45, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but that constituted a view. They've gone from that hour-long programming needing somebody to watch 40 plus minutes of it to being a view to 2 minutes. From 40 plus to 2. And while on the one hand, I'm thrilled because I love The Witcher. You guys know, if you've heard me talk about The Witcher, you know I love The Witcher. But on the one hand, while I'm excited for Witcher and these results, Rob, I've got to ask myself, but are these legitimate results? Because somebody who watched, like for instance, you just mentioned, I don't think you completed, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I don't think you finished watching Six Underground, correct?
I did not.
You watched just the first opening scene.
First 15 minutes.
So according to Netflix before, that wouldn't have counted as a view. You only watched it for a bit, one scene, and checked out. But today, that counts as a view. And so, look, Netflix is free. It's their company. They can count, if they want to consider a view 30 seconds, 1 hour, that's up to them for their own internal numbers. It doesn't affect me. But it does affect, Rob, for somebody like me, how impressed I will be by saying The Witcher is the biggest opening if another show had to meet a much stricter criteria than The Witcher did. So I don't really like this move, and it makes me feel a little funny about this story at all in general. Rob, you've seen this, you've heard about this, you see how they're now counting their views. How do you feel about them counting their views this way, and does it have any impact at all?
Well, first of all, I think it has a huge impact because it's a lie. What they're doing is it's a lie. And when it comes right down to, a lot of this is all about the business of Hollywood and residuals and how much people get paid. Normally when something is sold to Netflix, it's a buyout. When you sell it, you get paid pretty much once and they own it, which is very different than how movies and television has worked in the past. Actors and writers and producers and production companies have been getting residuals. If you were on a hit TV show, you would make money from that hit TV show for years to come. If you were on a big hit TV show, you could live forever on your residuals. Now, what's happening is that by selling to Netflix, they've figured out a way, it's a one-time buyout, that actors don't get residuals, nor do the people that create the programming. The creatives don't. And yet, if Netflix is getting huge numbers of views and they're using that to bolster their stock price, they're going, look, we're getting 85 million views on a show. It makes their company and their content more valuable. But they're making their company and their content more valuable on the backs of other creatives that are not going to benefit from an inflated stock price or more subscriptions. So I'm curious, what they're doing to me is they're inflating their numbers. If somebody's only going to watch a 2-hour movie for 2 minutes and they're counting that as a view, that's not really watching the movie. And that isn't an accurate portrayal of their content. It's certainly, they can go, look, well, if you have a movie that people wanted to see and it turns out to be horrible, like that Christmas movie you didn't like, Noel, and people are tuning in for only 2 minutes and then jumping ship, well, they're going to count it as a view. Like, see, look at how many people watched it. Where in reality, you could say that 80% of the people that tuned in tuned out after 2 minutes. I wouldn't necessarily call that a view or a win. And I don't know how the economics are going to play out. But again, I see it as people juicing their numbers.
Yeah. So again, I'm thrilled for Witcher, but then I'm like, but is it really the biggest first season of all time? I don't know if you can say that when one is measured by a very more, let's say, lenient criteria, and all the other stuff was measured by much stricter, higher shelf criteria. So I don't know. Question is, guys, how do you think about this? Look, it doesn't affect one way or the other about how we liked or didn't like The Witcher. I love The Witcher, and I'm sure nothing changes because of this, but it does make me a little bit suspect about the numbers. Does it make you, or do you think, no, actually, this makes more sense? Going on by a 2-minute rule makes more sense. Maybe you think it's stupid like myself and Robert do. I want to know what you guys think. Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay,